My best friend pulled off my wig, laughed, then faked a charity in my name. When I begged her to stop using my diagnosis for clout, she smirked and said, "Cancer pays well, doesn't it?" I didn't say a word. That was 6 weeks ago. This morning, she was screaming outside my building, while her last brand dropped her mid-live stream. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma when I was just 23 years old. I didn't tell anyone because the last thing I wanted was for anyone to treat me differently, but my balding gave me away. So when my friend Vanessa came over and saw my entire wig fall off, I had to tell her the truth. At first she started laughing, but when I told her it wasn't a joke, her eyes welled up with tears. "I'm so sorry, baby girl. I love you. We can make it through this." I hugged her back and she proceeded to pull my wig off again. This made me smile, and I was confident that she wouldn't treat me like I was made of glass. Well, the cancer started getting worse. I literally looked like one of those zombies from Plants vs. Zombies. So when Vanessa texted to confirm whether or not I could attend her birthday, I told her no, and proceeded to Zelle her $300 as an apology / early birthday gift. My explanation? I had chemo booked for Saturday morning and her party was that evening. Pretty effing solid, right? Well, Vanessa didn't think so. Isn't that a little selfish? It's like a 2-second procedure. I'm sure the time between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. will be enough time to recover. It's like 3 hours, and I'm gonna be so tired I don't want to drag the mood down. I'm sorry, I responded. I thought it would end there, but it didn't. Vanessa told me that if I didn't want people to treat me differently for having cancer, then I shouldn't use it as an excuse to be a poopy friend. I didn't even reply to that, because I knew if the conversation continued, I had a 100% chance of saying something I'd regret. And as predicted, I ended up resting all day. I felt like an animal in hibernation or something, but I woke up to 37 missed calls and over 99 unanswered texts. As I scrolled through, I saw that everyone was texting me asking if I was okay, asking why I never told them. An anonymous account had even started a GoFundMe with a photo of my face attached. Anger boiled my blood. Vanessa had announced to everyone that I had cancer, so I called her, and she immediately picked up. "Vanessa, what the actual F? I hope you're calling to thank me," she interrupted. "Everyone at my birthday was talking about what a selfish bitch you were for not showing up, and I defended you by telling them the truth." I immediately knew she wasn't telling the full story. "Okay, Vanessa, and why did they think I was a selfish bitch?" "Because at first, I told them you couldn't come because you wanted to watch some TV." Her voice was dripping with fakeness, but I couldn't slap her through the screen, so I settled for hanging up. That day was literally every nightmare I ever had come true. All of the girls I hated were reposting the anonymous GoFundMe on Instagram, captioned with the amount they had donated, and at least 1/3 of the texts were people sending me TikTok links to holistic healing BS. One was literally of a girl saying she cured her stage 4 lung cancer from drinking celery juice, with a commission link in bio for the magic blender she used. All this made me want to isolate myself even more, especially from Vanessa. I didn't reply to anyone except my mom, who asked if I was doing okay. Honestly, that month without Vanessa and her Paw Patrol was pretty peaceful. It gave me a lot less to think about and meant I could rest more. I also had more money, because I didn't have to Zelle people all the time to compensate for not spending time with them. This also meant Vanessa had a lot more money too, because on her Instagram stories she would update her followers every day on how I was doing, and claim that she was the only one I was willing to talk to. Of course, linked in every story was a link to a charity I'd never heard of before. It claimed to support all my daily expenses. We both knew it was a lie, but I didn't have the energy to deal with her. Honestly, my plan was to just let her do her thing. But when donations began to dwindle, she upped her game. At my expense, of course. She started taking old photos she had of me and using AI to edit them. She'd Photoshop them and make it look like I was on death's doorstep, and tell everyone I was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and if I didn't get life-saving, very expensive surgery within the next week, I was guaranteed to die. That's when I finally decided that enough was enough. I told her if she didn't take it down, I would expose her for her past BS. She didn't respond, but she did take it down. Well, kinda. 3 days later, I woke up to see that she had simply adjusted her angle. With the use of fake screenshots and old photos of me, Vanessa told her 300,000 followers that I had faked cancer, that I did it all for the money. I also noticed my phone had been bombarded with dozens of texts and missed calls. The first voicemail was angry. The second was threatening. By the 10th, I had already decided to ruin Vanessa's life. I can't tell you what I did next in this short video. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, watching the shadows from my blinds make patterns as cars drove by outside. I was trying to process how my best friend had turned on me like this. My phone kept buzzing with notifications. I finally turned it off completely. I needed to think. The next morning, I dragged myself to my oncologist appointment. Dr. Patel, a kind woman in her 50s with gentle hands and a no-nonsense attitude, noticed something was off right away. My blood pressure was higher than usual, and I couldn't stop fidgeting during our checkup. I broke down and told her everything. She listened patiently, then offered to help. She said she could provide documentation proving my diagnosis if I needed it. I almost cried from relief. When I got home, I turned my phone back on. The messages had doubled. Some people were calling me a scammer, others were defending me. It was chaos. I saw that #cancerscammer was trending locally on Twitter. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold my phone. I decided to start with damage control. I took photos of my medical records, with personal info blacked out, and my prescription bottles lined up on my bathroom counter. I posted them on my Instagram with a simple caption, "The truth. I have cancer. Vanessa has been lying about me." Within minutes, Vanessa texted me, "Take that down now or I'll sue you for defamation." Her message was followed by 3 angry face emojis. I ignored her. Instead, I started messaging our mutual friends one by one, explaining the situation and showing them proof. Most were shocked. A few didn't believe me at first, but slowly, people started to understand. Then Vanessa upped her game. She posted a video of herself crying, mascara strategically smudged under her eyes, claiming I had manipulated her and that she had evidence I was faking. The video got thousands of views. People I didn't even know were DMing me horrible things, calling me everything from attention seeker to psychopath. I felt like I was drowning. I couldn't eat or sleep. My mom noticed and insisted on staying with me for a few days. Having her there helped, but I still felt completely overwhelmed. The next day, I got a text from Terry, a guy who had dated Vanessa briefly last year before she dumped him for a DJ with better connections. He said he had information that might help me. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop near my apartment. Terry looked nervous when he arrived. He kept checking over his shoulder like he expected Vanessa to pop out of nowhere. He told me Vanessa had pulled similar stunts before. She had claimed her previous roommate had a rare sickness and collected money for her too. The roommate had moved out and cut all contact with Vanessa. She's done this before? I asked, feeling sick to my stomach, the chai latte I'd ordered sitting untouched between us. Terry nodded. She thrives on attention and money, obviously. He showed me screenshots of conversations where Vanessa had bragged about how much money she was making from my cancer fund. She had even bought herself a new designer bag with the donations, posting it on her private Finsta account with the caption, "Cancer pays well." I felt a mix of rage and determination. This wasn't just about me anymore. She was scamming people who genuinely wanted to help someone with cancer. That was a new level of awful. I thanked Terry and went home to make a plan. I needed to be smart about this. Vanessa had a bigger platform than me, but I had the truth on my side. First, I created a document with all the evidence, medical records, screenshots of Vanessa's contradicting posts, Terry's information, and statements from my doctor. Then I reached out to Angela, a mutual friend who worked at a local news website. I asked if she'd be willing to help me tell my story. Angela was hesitant at first, worried about getting involved in drama, but when I showed her everything I had, she agreed. We spent hours putting together a comprehensive article exposing Vanessa's lies. The night before the article was set to publish, I could barely sleep. I kept imagining Vanessa's reaction and all the potential fallout. What if people still didn't believe me? What if this made everything worse? My phone rang at 6 a.m. It was Angela. Vanessa somehow found out about the article, she said, her voice tense. She's threatening to sue the website if we publish it. My heart sank. Of course Vanessa would try to stop this. I asked Angela what we should do. The editor wants to meet with you today, she said. Bring all your evidence. I spent the morning gathering everything. Medical bills, doctor's notes, screenshots, everything I could think of. I met Angela and her editor Frank at their office downtown. Frank reviewed everything carefully. This is solid, he said finally. We're running the story, but be prepared for backlash. I nodded, feeling a mix of relief and anxiety. There was no turning back now. I got home from the meeting with Frank and Angela feeling like I was about to throw up. Not from chemo this time, but from pure anxiety. The article was scheduled to go live the next morning at 9 a.m. I checked my phone and saw 3 missed calls from Vanessa. I ignored them and turned my ringer off. I needed to prepare myself for whatever storm was coming. My mom had made soup while I was out. She didn't ask questions when I came in looking like I'd seen a ghost, just handed me a bowl and sat with me at the kitchen table. I told her about the article, and she squeezed my hand. Whatever happens, I'm here, she said. Those 5 simple words meant everything. I tried to sleep that night but ended up staring at my ceiling until 4 a.m., playing out every possible scenario in my head. By the time my alarm went off at 8:30, I felt like a zombie. I made coffee with shaking hands and opened my laptop. At exactly 9:01 a.m., Angela texted me a link. The headline read, "Exclusive. Local influencer accused of faking friend's cancer for profit." My stomach did a flip as I clicked on it. The article was comprehensive. It laid out everything. My real diagnosis, Vanessa's escalating lies, the fake GoFundMe accounts, everything. Angela had even managed to track down Vanessa's former roommate, Melissa, who confirmed Terry's story about Vanessa's previous scams. There were screenshots, quotes from my doctor, with my permission, and even financial records showing where some of the donation money had actually gone, straight into Vanessa's Venmo account. My phone started blowing up almost immediately. I turned it off completely and curled up on my couch, pulling a blanket over my head like I used to do as a kid when I was scared. My mom brought me tea and sat next to me, not saying anything, just being there. Around noon, I finally turned my phone back on. I had 147 text messages, 53 missed calls, and hundreds of Instagram notifications. I took a deep breath and started scrolling. Most of the messages were supportive. People I hadn't heard from in years were reaching out to apologize for believing Vanessa. A few were still angry, convinced I was the liar, but the tide was definitely turning. Then I saw Vanessa's response. She'd gone live on Instagram about an hour after the article dropped. I clicked on the saved video with trembling fingers. She was crying dramatically, her makeup perfectly smudged for maximum sympathy effect. "I can't believe someone I loved like a sister would do this to me," she sobbed. "I was only trying to help her. If I got some details wrong, it's because she was so secretive about her condition." The comments were mixed. Some people were calling her out, posting links to the article. Others were defending her, saying I was just jealous of her popularity. It was surreal watching people debate my cancer diagnosis like it was a plot point in a reality show. My phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. "You're dead meat, cancer girl." I felt a chill run down my spine. I showed it to my mom, who immediately called the police. They took a report but said there wasn't much they could do unless the threats became more specific. That night, someone threw an egg at my apartment window. I heard the splat and peeked through the blinds to see a car speeding away. I couldn't tell who it was, but I had a pretty good guess. I took a photo of the egg dripping down my window and sent it to Angela. She added it to the online version of the article. The next morning, I had my regular chemo appointment. I was terrified to leave my apartment, but my mom insisted on driving me. When we arrived at the cancer center, I kept my head down, afraid someone might recognize me from the article. As I settled into my usual chair by the window, my phone buzzed. It was a DM from @RealityCheckBlog, a popular local gossip account. "We have evidence Vanessa has been scamming people for years. Can we talk?" I showed the message to my mom, who looked skeptical. "Be careful," she warned. "This could be a trap." I messaged back asking for more details. While waiting for a response, I scrolled through my other messages. One caught my eye. It was from Alexa, a girl who had been in Vanessa's inner circle for years. I need to talk to you. V isn't who everyone thinks she is. After my chemo session, feeling weak but determined, I agreed to meet Alexa at a quiet cafe near my apartment. My mom insisted on sitting at a nearby table, pretending to read a book while actually keeping watch. I was too tired to argue. Alexa showed up looking nervous, constantly checking over her shoulder. She was prettier in person than in her Instagram photos, with natural freckles she usually filtered out. She ordered a green tea and leaned in close. I've been friends with Vanessa since elevated school, she whispered. She's always been intense, but this is next level. Alexa told me Vanessa had been using the donation money to pay for a luxury apartment downtown, one she definitely couldn't afford on her part-time yoga instructor salary. She showed me photos of Vanessa shopping at Nordstrom the same day she posted a tearful video about taking me to chemo. The worst part is, Alexa said, stirring her tea nervously, she's done this before. There was a guy in college she claimed had leukemia. She raised thousands for him. He didn't even exist. I felt sick. Why are you telling me this now? Alexa looked down. Because I helped her. I designed some of the graphics for her fundraisers. I didn't know they were fake at first, I swear. But when I figured it out and confronted her, she threatened to tell everyone I cheated my way through college. I wasn't sure whether to believe her. It seemed convenient that she was coming forward now that the tide was turning against Vanessa, but the details matched what Terry had told me. I have proof, Alexa said, sliding her phone across the table. She showed me text conversations where Vanessa explicitly talked about making up details about my condition to get more donations. There were also bank statements showing transfers from the GoFundMe account to Vanessa's personal account. Can I screenshot these? I asked. Alexa nodded. Take whatever you need. I'm done protecting her. I sent everything to Angela immediately. She responded within minutes. This is gold. We're running a follow-up tomorrow. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Is this the cancer faker? A male voice slurred. I recognized it as Chad, one of Vanessa's on-again, off-again hookups. Chad, I'm not faking anything, I said tiredly. Vanessa's crying her eyes out because of you, he continued. You should be ashamed. I hung up and blocked the number. 10 minutes later, my doorbell rang. I peeked through the peephole to see Chad swaying in my hallway, clearly intoxicated. My mom called 911 while I sat with my back against the door, heart pounding. The police came quickly and escorted Chad away. They asked if I wanted to press charges, but I was too exhausted to deal with more drama. I just wanted him gone. The second article dropped the next morning. This one was even more damning, with Alexa going on record about Vanessa's history of scams. It included screenshots of Vanessa's private messages discussing how to make my cancer story more dramatic to get more donations. Vanessa's response was swift and vicious. She posted a 15-minute video claiming Alexa had always been jealous of her and had doctored the screenshots. She said I had manipulated everyone and that she had only ever tried to help me. The comments were overwhelmingly skeptical of her story this time. Then something unexpected happened. People started tagging me in posts showing Vanessa at a spa the previous weekend, the same weekend she had claimed to be nursing me through a particularly rough chemo session. She was getting a $300 facial while posting about my struggle. The evidence was piling up against her. Her follower count started dropping dramatically. Brands she had partnerships with began quietly removing her sponsored content from their pages. But Vanessa wasn't going down without a fight. She showed up at my apartment building that afternoon, demanding to see me. The security guard, who had been briefed about the situation, refused to let her up. She caused such a scene that someone recorded it and posted it online. The video of her screaming that I was ruining her life went viral locally. I was starting to feel like I was living in a bizarre reality show. My cancer had become secondary to this drama, which was both disturbing and strangely relieving. At least people weren't sending me celery juice recipes anymore. The next day, I got a call from Rory, who ran the largest cancer support group in our city. They had seen the articles and wanted to know if I needed any resources or support. I broke down crying on the phone, overwhelmed by the simple kindness of someone actually asking what I needed, rather than telling me what I should do. Rory invited me to attend their next meeting. I was hesitant. I still didn't love the idea of being cancer girl, but I agreed to try it once. The support group met in a community center downtown. My mom dropped me off, promising to pick me up in 2 hours. I walked in feeling self-conscious in my wig and oversized sweater that hid how thin I'd become. The room was filled with people of all ages. Some clearly had cancer, bald heads, port access shirts, the telltale pallor I recognized from my own mirror. Others looked like regular people, maybe family members or survivors. A woman named Helen welcomed me with a warm smile. She had short gray hair that was clearly growing back after chemo and bright purple glasses that matched her scarf. First time? She asked gently. I nodded, feeling suddenly shy. Well, we don't bite, she said. Unless you're hiding cookies, then all bets are off. I found myself smiling despite my nerves. Helen introduced me to a few other people, including a guy about my age named Gray, who was in remission from the same type of lymphoma I had. The hair grows back curly, he told me, running a hand through his short, surprisingly curly brown hair. No one warns you about that part. For the first time in months, I felt like I was with people who actually understood what I was going through. No one asked intrusive questions or suggested I try essential oils. They just got it. After the meeting, Gray gave me his number. Text me if you ever need to vent to someone who's been there, he said. Chemo brain is real, and sometimes you just need someone who understands why you put your keys in the refrigerator. I left feeling lighter than I had in weeks. On the drive home, I told my mom about the meeting. She seemed relieved to see me almost animated as I talked about the people I'd met. My good mood lasted until I checked my phone at home. Vanessa had somehow gotten hold of a photo of me at the support group, probably from someone who recognized me from the articles. She posted it with the caption, "Still playing the cancer card for attention, I see. #pathetic. I was furious. She had turned something positive into another attack. I blocked her on every platform and then, after a moment's hesitation, texted Gray, "Does the urge to strangle people ever go away during treatment? Asking for a friend?" He responded with a laughing emoji and, "Only if you increase your meds." The next few days were a blur of medical appointments and online drama. Vanessa's influence was clearly waning. Her latest post had only gotten a fraction of her usual engagement, but she was getting more desperate. She started claiming she had evidence that would blow this whole thing wide open. I tried to ignore it, focusing instead on my treatment and the new connections I was making through the support group. Gray and I texted regularly, sharing cancer memes and complaining about side effects. It was nice having someone who understood the weird, specific challenges of being young with cancer. Then Vanessa dropped her bombshell. She posted what she claimed was a screenshot of a text conversation between us, where I allegedly admitted to exaggerating my diagnosis for attention. The text bubbles were the wrong color for my phone, and the me in the conversation used phrases I would never say, like cancer clout and sympathy points. It was obviously fake, but some people were still buying it. I was at my lowest point emotionally when I got an unexpected message from @RealityCheck blog again. "We've been investigating Vanessa. You're not her first victim. Call us." I was wary but desperate. I called the number they provided and was connected to a woman named Noel, who explained she ran the blog with her partner. They had been tracking Vanessa's scams for over a year after receiving tips from multiple sources. "We have evidence she's done this at least 3 times before," Noel said. "Different illnesses, different victims, same scam." Noel asked if I would be willing to go on record for a comprehensive expose they were preparing. I hesitated, not wanting to feed the drama machine any further, but the thought of Vanessa doing this to someone else made me sick. "What exactly do you need from me?" I asked. "Just your story, in your own words," Noel replied, "and permission to use the evidence you've already gathered." I agreed to meet with them the following day. My mom insisted on coming with me, still suspicious that this could be another trap. We met Noel and her partner, Andy, at a quiet coffee shop. They were both in their 30s, professional and serious. They showed us their previous work, legitimate investigative pieces on local scams and corruption. This wasn't just a gossip blog. They did real journalism. They laid out what they had discovered. Vanessa had run similar scams in 3 different cities before moving here. She would befriend someone vulnerable, either invent or exaggerate their illness, raise money supposedly for their care, and then pocket most of it. When people got suspicious, she would turn the tables and claim she was the victim. "The pattern is identical every time," Andy explained, showing me a timeline they had created. "The only difference is that you're the first person to fight back effectively." I told them my complete story, from diagnosis to the current situation. They recorded our conversation and took notes, asking thoughtful questions that showed they had done their research. "We're publishing this tomorrow," Noel said when we finished. "Be prepared for backlash. Vanessa won't go down quietly." They were right. The expose was comprehensive and damning. It included testimony from 2 of Vanessa's previous victims, financial records showing her pattern of fraud, and expert analysis of her manipulative social media tactics. It was shared thousands of times within hours. Vanessa's response was nuclear. She posted a tearful video claiming she was being canceled by powerful media forces, who had a vendetta against her. She said she was receiving death threats, probably true, given the internet, and that I had orchestrated a campaign to destroy her life because I was jealous of her success. The comments on her video were overwhelmingly negative. People were calling her out with receipts, posting screenshots from the expose, and tagging brands she worked with to alert them to the situation. Her carefully constructed influencer empire was crumbling in real time. I should have felt vindicated, but mostly I felt tired. This whole saga had drained what little energy chemo had left me with. I turned off my notifications and took a nap, something I rarely allowed myself to do in the middle of the day. I woke up to my phone ringing. It was Gray. "Have you seen what's happening?" he asked without preamble. "No, I turned everything off," I mumbled, still groggy from sleep. "What now?" "Vanessa just went live claiming she's checking herself into a mental health facility because of the cyberbullying she's experiencing," he said. "She's trying to flip the script again." I sighed deeply. "Of course she is." "The comments aren't buying it," Gray continued. "People are posting clown emojis and calling her out. I think she's finally lost her audience." I wasn't so sure. Vanessa had a talent for reinvention. I had a feeling this mental health break would last exactly as long as it took for the heat to die down, and then she'd be back with some new angle. My suspicions were confirmed the next day when I received an email from Vanessa. Not a text or DM, but a formal-looking email with the subject line, "Proposed Resolution." It read like it had been written by a lawyer, or more likely ChatGPT. "I am reaching out to propose a mutually beneficial resolution to our current situation. I suggest we both release statements acknowledging a misunderstanding and agreeing to move forward separately. In exchange, I will donate 50% of all funds raised to a legitimate cancer charity of your choice. Please respond with your thoughts on this proposal." I forwarded it to Angela, who responded immediately. "She's trying to save face. Don't respond yet." I followed Angela's advice and ignored the email. Later that day, I received another one, this time with a more threatening tone. "If you continue to damage my reputation, I will be forced to take legal action. I have documentation that contradicts your claims." I knew she was bluffing. Any legal scrutiny would only reveal more evidence of her scams. I forwarded this email to Angela too, who added it to their growing file on the situation. The next day, I had another chemo session. I was starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. My doctor said my cancer was responding well to treatment, and we were on track to finish my regimen in about 2 months. For the first time in a while, I felt hopeful about my future. As I sat in the treatment chair, scrolling through messages of support on my phone, I got a text from an unknown number. "Check your email now." I opened my email to find a message with no subject line. The body contained only a link. Against my better judgment, I clicked it. It was a video of Vanessa sitting in what looked like a hotel room, her eyes red from crying or lack of sleep. "I know you're watching this," she said directly to the camera. "I want you to know that you've ruined everything I've worked for. My sponsors are dropping me, people are unfollowing me by the thousands, and it's all because of you." She continued for several minutes, alternating between threats and pleas. She claimed she had dirt on me that would make everyone see the real you. Then she switched to begging me to issue a combined statement saying it was all a misunderstanding. The video ended with her saying, "You have 24 hours to respond, or I release everything I have." I showed the video to my nurse, who immediately called security. The hospital took threats against patients seriously, especially those as vulnerable as cancer patients. They increased security on my floor and took a report. When I got home, I forwarded the video to Angela, Noel, and Andy. They all advised me to document everything but not engage. "She's desperate," Andy texted. "That's when people make mistakes." Sure enough, Vanessa's 24 hours came and went, and nothing happened. No bombshell revelations, no new attacks, just silence. Her Instagram went quiet. Her Twitter account was set to private. It seemed like she had finally realized she was only digging herself deeper. 3 days later, I was having lunch with Gray at a cafe near the hospital when someone tapped on the window next to our table. It was Vanessa, looking nothing like her polished Instagram persona. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, her face free of makeup, wearing what looked like pajama pants and a wrinkled t-shirt. Gray immediately tensed up. "Is that her?" he whispered. I nodded, feeling my heart rate spike. Vanessa motioned for me to come outside. Gray grabbed my wrist. "Don't go out there alone," he warned. "I'll be fine," I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it. "Stay here and call if it looks like I need help." I walked outside, keeping a safe distance between us. Up close, Vanessa looked even worse. Her eyes were puffy, with dark circles underneath that no filter could hide. "What do you want?" I asked, crossing my arms defensively. She started, then stopped, looking down at her feet. "I wanted to see you in person, to explain." "Explain what? How you used my cancer to scam people? How you tried to destroy my reputation when I called you out? What exactly is there to explain, Vanessa?" She flinched at my tone. "I never meant for it to go this far," she said quietly. "It started as just a small fundraiser, but then people kept donating, and it felt good to be the one helping you, to be the center of attention for doing something good." I stared at her in disbelief. "You weren't helping me. You were helping yourself to money that people thought was going to my medical bills." "I know," she whispered. "I know that now. I've lost everything. My sponsors, my followers, my friends, even my parents are barely speaking to me." For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered all the stress she had caused me during the hardest time of my life, all the lies she had told, all the money she had essentially stolen from well-meaning people. "What do you want from me, Vanessa? Forgiveness? Understanding? Because I don't have either of those things for you right now." She looked up, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know what I want. I don't know how to fix this." "You can't fix it," I said firmly. "You can only move forward. Return the money you took, get some help, and leave me alone." I turned to go back inside, but she grabbed my arm. "Wait, I really am sorry. I know that doesn't change anything, but I am." I gently removed her hand from my arm. "You're right. It doesn't change anything." As I walked back into the cafe, I saw Gray watching intently, phone in hand, ready to call for help if needed. I slid back into my seat, feeling drained but somehow lighter. "You okay?" he asked, concern evident in his voice. I nodded slowly. "Yeah, I think I am." That night, Vanessa posted one final message on her Instagram before deactivating her account. It was a simple text post that read, "Taking time away to reflect and grow. I'm sorry to those I've hurt." No excuses, no deflection, just a simple apology. It wasn't enough, not by a long poop, but it was something. The next few weeks were blessedly drama-free. I focused on my treatment, my support group, and rebuilding my energy. Gray and I started dating, taking things slow given my health situation. He understood my limitations in a way no healthy person could, never making me feel bad when I had to cancel plans because I was too exhausted or sick. 1 month later, I received an unexpected package. Inside was a cashier's check for $7,500 and a handwritten note. "This is all the money I collected in your name. I'm sorry it took so long to return it. V." I verified with the bank that the check was legitimate. Then I donated the entire amount to the Cancer Support Center where I had found so much help, specifying that it should go toward their financial assistance program for young adults with cancer. As I walked out of the bank, I felt like a chapter was finally closing. Vanessa had caused immense damage, but in a strange way, she had also led me to find strength I didn't know I had, and connections with people who truly understood what I was going through. My phone buzzed with a text from Gray. "Scan results today, right? Want company?" I smiled and texted back, "Yes, please. Doctor says things are looking good." And they were. Not just the scan results, which showed my cancer responding well to treatment, but everything else too. I had survived not just cancer, but also one of the most bizarre betrayals imaginable. Whatever came next, I knew I could handle it. The following week, I returned to the support group meeting with good news to share. My latest scans showed the tumor had shrunk significantly, and my doctor was optimistic about my prognosis. As I shared my update, I noticed a new face in the group, a young woman who looked as terrified as I had felt at my first meeting. After the session ended, I approached her and introduced myself. Her name was Amelia, and she had just been diagnosed with chest cancer at 25. She looked at me with the same desperate hope I'd once had, searching for proof that she could survive this. "It's overwhelming at first," I told her, "but you're not alone." I gave her my number and told her she could text me anytime. As we talked, I realized how much I had changed in the past few months. Cancer and Vanessa's betrayal had stripped away so much, but they had also revealed what truly mattered. Later that night, I received a text from Amelia. "Thank you for talking to me today. It helped more than you know." I smiled as I texted back, "That's what we do. We help each other through." And that, I realized, was the truth Vanessa had never understood. Real support isn't about attention or praise or social media clout. It's about showing up, listening, and being there, even when there's nothing in it for you. The next morning, I woke up to a notification that someone had tagged me in a post. For a moment, I tensed, expecting more drama, but it was just Helen from the support group, sharing a photo of our volunteer day at the hospital, all of us wearing ridiculous bright yellow t-shirts and goofy smiles. The caption read, "Cancer sucks, but the people you meet along the way don't. #real support." I liked the post and added a comment. Wouldn't have made it through without you all. #actual cancer warriors. As I put my phone down and got ready for my day, I thought about how differently things had turned out than I expected. When I was first diagnosed, I thought the worst part would be the cancer itself. I never imagined that my biggest battle would be with someone I had once considered a friend. But in fighting that battle, I had found my voice and my strength. I had discovered who my real friends were, and made new ones who understood me in ways I never thought possible. And most importantly, I had learned that even in the darkest times, there are people who will stand by you, not for likes or attention, but simply because that's what real friends do. The cancer journey wasn't over. I still had treatments ahead, and the fear of recurrence would probably always be with me. But the Vanessa chapter was closed. She had shown me the worst of humanity, but in doing so, had inadvertently led me to find the best. And for that, in a weird way, I was almost grateful. Sometimes the hardest battles bring the most unexpected gifts. I spent the next week in a weird kind of limbo. The drama with Vanessa had taken over my life so completely that having it suddenly end felt strange, like when you're watching a really intense movie and someone just turns off the TV right before the climax. I kept checking my phone, half expecting to see some new attack from her, but there was nothing. Gray called me every day, which was nice. We'd talk about normal stuff, what shows we were watching, how my latest blood work looked, whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It absolutely does. Fight me. It felt good to have conversations that weren't about Vanessa or cancer scams or social media drama. Then on Thursday, I got a text from Terry. "Hey, you might want to check this out." He sent a link to a TikTok video that was going viral. I clicked it with that familiar knot of dread in my stomach. It was Vanessa, but not the tearful, apologetic Vanessa from her last post. This was Vanessa 2.0, looking fresh and rejuvenated with a new haircut and what looked like lip fillers. She was sitting in what appeared to be a fancy hotel room, speaking directly to the camera. "So many of you have been asking where I've been," she said, flipping her hair dramatically. "I needed some time to heal after being targeted by an orchestrated smear campaign, but I'm back now, and I'm ready to tell my side of the story." My hands started shaking so bad I almost dropped my phone. I texted Gray immediately. "She's back, and she's still lying." Gray called me right away. "I saw it. Don't panic. Nobody's buying it." He was right. The comment section was brutal. People were calling her out left and right, posting links to the articles about her scams, and telling her to get help. The ratio of negative to positive comments was about 50-1, but Vanessa had always been good at ignoring reality when it didn't suit her narrative. She posted 3 more videos that day, each one doubling down on her claims that she was the real victim. In the last one, she announced she was starting a podcast called Cancelled My Truth, where she would expose everything. I felt that familiar anxiety creeping back in. Just when I thought it was over, she was trying to drag me back into her drama vortex. I called Angela in a panic. "Don't engage," Angela advised firmly. "She's desperate for attention. The worst thing you can do is give it to her." I knew she was right, but it was hard to just sit back and watch Vanessa try to rewrite history. I distracted myself by focusing on my treatment and the support group. Amelia and I had become pretty close. She was starting chemo the following week, and I'd promised to go with her for her first session. The night before Amelia's appointment, I was organizing my meds for the week when my doorbell rang. It was almost 10 p.m., which was way too late for normal visitors. I peeked through the peephole but didn't see anyone. Cautiously, I opened the door just a crack, chain still on. There was a package on my doormat, a small box wrapped in brown paper with my name scrawled across it. No shipping label, no return address, just my name in handwriting I didn't recognize. I closed the door and called Gray. "Someone left a weird package at my door," I told him, staring at the box like it might explode. "Don't open it," he said immediately. "I'm coming over." While waiting for Gray, I checked my building security camera footage on my phone. The app showed someone in a hoodie dropping off the package and quickly walking away, face carefully turned from the camera. It could have been anyone, but my gut told me it was connected to Vanessa somehow. Gray arrived 20 minutes later with his roommate Jose, who worked as a security guard. Jose examined the package carefully without touching it. "Doesn't look like an explosive," he said, which wasn't exactly reassuring. But I wouldn't open it with my bare hands. Gray grabbed some kitchen gloves from under my sink, and we all stood back as he carefully unwrapped the package. Inside was a USB drive and a note that simply said, "Watch me." "Well, that's not creepy at all," I muttered. We debated what to do. It could be evidence of something, or it could be an infection designed to hack my computer. In the end, Gray took it to his friend who worked in IT, who checked it on a secure computer. The next morning, Gray called me while I was getting ready to meet Amelia. "You're not going to believe what's on that drive," he said, his voice tense with excitement. "What is it?" I asked, trying to put my wig on one-handed while holding the phone. "Videos, dozens of them, of Vanessa planning everything. She recorded herself talking about how she was going to use your cancer to get famous. There's one where she's literally counting money from the fundraiser and laughing about how easy it was to trick people." I sat down hard on my bed. "Are you serious? Who would send that to me?" "There's a video message at the end from someone named Jade. Says she was Vanessa's roommate for the past month and found the drive when Vanessa left it behind after moving out suddenly. Apparently Vanessa kept it as some kind of twisted diary." My mind was racing. This was exactly what we needed to completely discredit Vanessa once and for all, but something felt off about it. "It seems too convenient," I said slowly. "Like, why would Vanessa record herself doing all this illicit stuff?" Narcissism? Gray suggested. The IT guy says the videos are definitely real, not AI or anything, and the timestamps match up with everything that happened. I was still suspicious, but I had to go meet Amelia. I told Gray to make copies of everything and not do anything with the videos until I got back. The chemo center was busy that morning. I found Amelia in the waiting room looking terrified. Her mom was with her, clutching a folder full of paperwork and looking almost as scared as Amelia. You came, Amelia said, relief washing over her face. Of course I did, I replied, sitting next to her. First time's the scariest. It gets, well, not easier exactly, but more routine. I stayed with her through the whole process, explaining each step, distracting her with stupid jokes, and assuring her that yes, the metallic taste in her mouth was normal and would go away eventually. By the time we finished, I was exhausted, but glad I'd been there. As we were leaving, Amelia hugged me tightly. Thank you, she whispered. I don't think I could have done this alone. You're never alone in this, I told her, meaning it. That's the one good thing about cancer. It comes with a built-in community of people who get it. When I got home, Gray was waiting with the USB drive and a determined look on his face. We need to send these to Angela and Noel, he said. This is the final nail in Vanessa's coffin. I still felt uneasy. What if it's a trap? What if Vanessa planted this for us to find, and there's something illicit on there we don't know about? Gray looked thoughtful. You might be right. Let's have my lawyer friend look at it first. His friend Frank, who worked as a paralegal, came over that evening. He reviewed the videos carefully, taking notes and occasionally asking questions about the timeline of events. These appear legitimate, he said finally, and they clearly show Vanessa committing fraud, but I'd be careful about how you use them. Technically, whoever recorded these without Vanessa's knowledge might have broken wiretapping laws depending on the state they were in. That complicated things. We decided to have Angela look at the videos but hold off on publishing anything until we could verify their source and legality. The next day, while I was napping after a particularly rough bout of nausea, my phone started blowing up with notifications. I groggily checked it to find dozens of messages from friends and support group members, all saying variations of, have you seen this? Vanessa had launched her podcast. The first episode was titled, Cancer, Clout, and Cancellation, My Side of the Story. The thumbnail showed her looking somber in black and white, like she was in some kind of documentary about crimes against humanity. I didn't want to listen to it, but I knew I had to. I put in my earbuds and hit play, bracing myself for more lies. What I heard instead left me speechless. I've been lying to you all, Vanessa's voice said clearly. I've been lying to myself. The truth is, I exploited my friend's cancer for attention and money. I manipulated situations, twisted facts, and when I got caught, I tried to blame the victim, my friend who was literally fighting for her life while I was fighting for Instagram likes. I sat up in bed, completely confused. This couldn't be real. Vanessa would never admit to any of this. You're probably wondering why I'm confessing now, she continued. Last week, someone sent me a USB drive containing videos I recorded of myself planning this whole scheme, videos I never thought anyone would see. They threatened to release them if I didn't come clean. So here I am, coming clean. My jaw dropped. Someone had sent her the same videos they'd sent to me, or more likely, they'd sent her copies and told her they'd sent the originals to me. I won't name the friend I hurt, Vanessa said, her voice cracking slightly. She deserves her privacy, but I want her to know I'm truly sorry. What I did was unforgivable. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for understanding. I just want to acknowledge the harm I caused. The rest of the podcast was a detailed confession of everything she'd done, from the initial fundraiser to the fake screenshots to the smear campaign. She ended by announcing she was shutting down all her social media accounts and donating every cent she'd made from her influencer career to cancer research. I sat in stunned silence after it ended. This was the last thing I'd expected. I called Gray immediately. Are you listening to this? I asked when he picked up. Yeah, he said, sounding as shocked as I felt. Do you think she means it? I have no idea, I admitted. But someone clearly forced her hand with those videos. We still didn't know who had sent the USB drives or how they'd gotten the videos in the first place. The mysterious Jade never came forward, and despite Gray's IT friend trying to trace the podcast's upload location, we couldn't figure out who had pressured Vanessa into confessing. The aftermath was surprisingly quiet. Vanessa made good on her promise to shut down her social media. Her podcast episode went viral, but she never recorded another one. The drama that had consumed my life for months just ended. 2 weeks later, I received an official-looking letter from a law firm. Inside was a cashier's check for $23,500 and a brief note stating this represented the full amount of donations Vanessa had collected in my name, plus interest. There was no personal message, just a legal document I had to sign confirming I'd received the funds. I decided to donate half to the cancer center and use the other half to start a small emergency fund for young cancer patients who needed help with bills or rent during treatment. It felt like the right way to bring something positive out of the whole mess. My treatment continued. Some days were better than others. On the bad days, Gray would come over with soup and silly movies. On the good days, we'd go for short walks or sit in the park, making up stories about the people who passed by. Amelia joined us sometimes, her own treatment progressing alongside mine. 3 months later, I had my final chemo session. The nurses threw a little party with cupcakes and sparkling cider. They gave me a certificate that said Cancer Warrior in Comic Sans font with clip art of boxing gloves. It was cheesy as hell and I loved it. My hair started growing back, just like Gray had said, weirdly curly and a slightly different color than before. I donated all my wigs to the cancer center, except for one bright purple one I kept just for fun. One evening, as Gray and I were walking through the park near my apartment, enjoying the first truly warm day of spring, I spotted a familiar figure sitting alone on a bench. It took me a moment to recognize her without the perfect makeup and carefully styled hair, but it was definitely Vanessa. She looked up and saw me at the same moment. For a second, we just stared at each other. Then she stood up, hesitated, and slowly walked toward us. Gray squeezed my hand. "We can leave if you want," he whispered. I shook my head. "It's okay." Vanessa stopped a few feet away from us. She looked different, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes, wearing plain jeans and a sweatshirt instead of her usual trendy outfits. "Hi," she said simply. "Hi," I replied. An awkward silence stretched between us. "You look good," she finally said. "Your hair's growing back." I touched my short curls self-consciously. "Yeah, it's different than before." "I like it," she said, then quickly added, "Not that my opinion matters." Another silence. "I meant what I said," she blurted out suddenly. "In the podcast. I'm really sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am." I studied her face, looking for signs of the old manipulative Vanessa, but all I saw was exhaustion and genuine regret. "What are you doing now?" I asked, not ready to address her apology yet. "Working at a coffee shop," she said with a small shrug. "And therapy. Lots of therapy. Turns out I have some issues to work through." I couldn't help but laugh a little at the understatement. "Yeah, I'd say so." She smiled tentatively. "I'm moving next month. Fresh start in a new city where nobody knows me." "That's probably a good idea," I said. "I just wanted to say goodbye. And sorry." Again. She glanced at Gray, then back to me. "I'm glad you have good people around you. You deserve that." I nodded, not sure what else to say. Part of me wanted to scream at her for everything she'd put me through. Another part recognized that she was trying to change, and that took a certain kind of courage. "I hope you find whatever you're looking for," I said finally. "And I hope you become someone better than who you were." "Me too," she said quietly. She gave a small wave and walked away, shoulders hunched slightly like she was carrying a heavy backpack. Gray and I watched her go. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, surprised to find it was true. "I really am." 6 months later, I got the news I'd been hoping for. My cancer was in remission. The doctors would continue monitoring me closely, but for now, I was cancer-free. I celebrated by having dinner with my mom, Gray, and friends from the support group, including Amelia, who was responding well to her own treatment. I never heard from Vanessa again, though occasionally I'd see someone who looked like her on the street and feel a brief jolt of anxiety before realizing it was a stranger. The whole experience had left its mark on me, changing how I viewed friendship and trust. But it had also shown me the power of community, not the fake, performative kind that Vanessa had created on social media, but the real, messy, supportive kind I'd found in the cancer center and support group. People who showed up not for likes or attention, but because they genuinely cared. 1 year after my diagnosis, I started volunteering at the cancer center, talking to newly diagnosed young adults who were as scared and confused as I had been. I told them about the medical stuff, sure, but also about how to deal with friends who didn't know what to say, how to spot the difference between genuine support and toxic positivity, and how it was okay to not be brave or inspirational all the time. I never mentioned Vanessa by name in these conversations, but I did talk about how crisis reveals people's true characters, both the good and the bad, and how sometimes the worst experiences bring the best people into your life. Like Gray, who proposed to me on the anniversary of my remission with a simple silver ring and a promise to stick around for all my future scans, good or bad. Like Amelia, who finished her treatment and immediately signed up to be a peer mentor for other young chest cancer patients. Like Helen from the support group, who knitted me a hat when my hair was growing back and my head was always cold, and who now makes one for every new member who joins. Cancer sucks. Having a friend betray you during cancer sucks even more. But I survived both, and came out stronger on the other side. Not because I'm special or brave or any of that crap, but because I had people who helped me through it. Real people, not Instagram followers or TikTok fans. And that's worth more than all the GoFundMe donations in the world.